FLM, wide open thinking, world-class work, and far-reaching results. Now with locations in Minneapolis, Columbus, Indianapolis, and Washington, D.C. A strategic marketing and communications company dedicated to serving clients who specialize in the business of agriculture and the life of rural communities.
Thank you for joining us for our Agri-Pulse Washington Week in Review. I'm Spencer Chase, joined as always by Agri-Pulse Senior Editor Phil Brasher, discussing the week that was, agriculturally speaking, in Washington, D.C. And if you've been following agripulse.com, you know that, of course, the big story out of Washington this week is Senate action, or really lack thereof, on a GMO labeling bill. There's a cloture vote scheduled on Wednesday. Needed 60 votes, and it got 48, 49 technically, if you really want to get into technicalities. Leader McConnell ended up switching his vote to a no vote, which will allow the provision to be brought up again later. But Phil, this vote was kind of a foregone conclusion, because as much as we've been talking about GMO labeling, there still isn't an agreement in the Senate side on what to do.
Right. Well, the Republicans have 54 votes in the Senate. You need 60 votes in order to advance a bill. And so you need that, obviously you do the math, you need at least 6 Democrats. In actual fact, you need more than that, because there are several Republicans who are reluctant to vote for this bill. The senators from Alaska have a whole issue with salmon. They want labeling of salmon. That's sort of a non-starter. There are a couple of other Republicans who just don't like the idea of anything mandatory, and they're reluctant to vote for this. So, and then you have a couple of Republicans who are out on the campaign trail. One of them, Marco Rubio, is back, so that maybe we have another Republican vote likely there. But the bottom line is, in order to move this bill, you're going to need probably in the order of 8 to 10 or possibly more Democrats.
And Phil, it seems to me that like the same issues that were really pivotal at the beginning of the discussion are still playing a major role here.
Right. All along, the whole issue has been, do you have to put something on a package label that says biotech or GMO or something like that? Obviously, those in the industry, the food companies, and farmers are very concerned about putting something on the package, because they feel like that it'll demonize the technology, and they suspect that some of the proponents of labeling would that's their very goal. And so you have a situation now, in many ways, in which this whole argument has not changed at all. Senator Joe Donnelly from Indiana, he's a Democrat. He's working behind the scenes to try to forge a compromise on this. This week, he proposed putting, as part of a compromise, putting a special requiring companies to put a special phone number on their packages, that where consumers could go and get information about whether a food has biotech or GMO ingredient in it. Well, then the issue comes is, what wording do you put with that phone number? Now, I talked to another senator, Chris Coons from Delaware, who's in that group of Democrats that would like to support this legislation and that could be critical to passing it. And he said, well, if you put the words, call this number for information about the biotech contents of this product, that would bring on a lot of that would bring on a lot of votes. Well, obviously, as soon as you put those words on there, that causes all sorts of problems. And that's sort of fundamentally still where we are.
So it's obviously there were a lot of folks that wanted this to happen before the Easter recess, before the Senate went on Easter recess. That's obviously not going to happen, because they have now gone on Easter recess. And so, is there hopes that negotiations are going to continue once they get back in town here?
Well, no doubt. I think the message coming out of or coming from the chairman of the Senate Agriculture Committee, Pat Roberts, is that farmers, if they want this to get settled, that they need to put pressure on Senator Stabenow. Senator Stabenow is saying she's trying to settle it. She needs a resolution, but she needs something that can, an agreement that can bring along enough Democrats.
And Senator Roberts spoke on the floor before the cloture vote went down, that basically saying, for those of you that are against this bill, where's your option? And he released his office released a statement afterwards that was very similarly worded. He seems to be kind of getting tired of negotiating this issue.
Well, he doesn't have much choice, and again, it still comes back to that that whole conundrum of how do you get Democrats on board, and they're getting obviously pressure from their constituents and consumers. How do you get them on board unless you put something on the label that says biotech or GMO? And that's where the issue was 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and in many ways that's where it still is.
So that'll be interesting to follow once they get back from this Easter recess. What if any progress has been made on this GMO labeling proposal. That's going to be it for this week here at the Agri-Pulse Washington Week in Review, because quite frankly, not a whole lot else happened agriculturally speaking in Washington D.C. this week. The big story was this GMO labeling bill, and so we will be sure to keep you abreast of all the news and developments on that GMO labeling bill as it continues to unfold here over this Easter recess and once they return back into town as well. For Phil Brasher, I'm Spencer Chase. Have a good one.